Hello everyone, this is Alfredo Castro and this is my oral presentation for my capstone project titled Effectiveness of Pre-Discharge Asthma Education and Reducing Readmission Rates Among Pediatric Patients Within 30 Days, a narrative review. Purpose of the study. This study is a narrative review that will review existing literature to answer the question, Does participation in a pre-discharge asthma education program reduce the readmission rate for pediatric patients within 30 days of discharge? The primary aim of this narrative review is to determine the impact of pre-discharge asthma education and reducing readmission rates among pediatric patients. Specifically, the review will identify components and strategies used in pre-discharge asthma education programs, evaluate the effectiveness of pre-discharge asthma education programs in reducing readmission rates, and also identify potential barriers and facilitate the implementation of pre-discharge asthma education programs. Overview. Asthma is a chronic condition that affects a significant portion of the pediatric population. Readmission to the hospital for asthma exacerbations are common, and many of these patients shortly after they've been discharged from the hospital for the same reason. The non-experimental approach of this project will be a narrative review that aims to answer the question, does participation in a pre-discharge asthma education program reduce the readmission date in pediatric patients within 30 days of discharge? Methods. The way I propose to go about this research is to do a comprehensive electronic search of the electronic databases such as PubMed, Embase, and the Cochrane Library. And this will be a comprehensive search that will include keywords related to pediatric asthma, pre-discharge education, readmission rates, and other relevant terms. The search will be limited to studies published between January 2017 to September 22. And the reason for this is that I don't want to have to go through a lot of data. Initially, I had chosen studies between January 2000 and September 2021. Well, that's like 21 years worth of research, and some of that might be outdated by now or irrelevant. So I wanted to be more within the last 5 years. I think it will give us a better picture of what's going on in terms of asthma education and how that impacts readmission rates on patients that on the patient population that we're looking at. All study designs will be included in the search. So whether it's quantitative or qualitative type of research, it will be included. The only thing that will be excluded is our studies that do not cover pediatric patients for obvious reasons. We only want to look at this population. Lessons learned in planning this project. You need a search strategy. Yes, I guess that's kind of like common sense, but you really need to know what it is that you're looking for and how you're going to go about it. You need to establish inclusion and exclusion criteria for search results, and that obviously will narrow down your research to make it more pinpoint to what you really want to get at. There's usually a lot of other variables that come into a specific topic, and so you in this case I want to narrow it down to, okay, does the provision of a pre-discharge asthma education reduce the rate of admissions and those patients that are frequent flyers in the hospital because of asthma exacerbation. So you need to, and of course, since we're looking at a specific population, which is the pediatric population, we want to make sure that we don't include adults. I know that adults are also have problems with readmission, especially COPDers. And so, but we want to stay away from that because I want to look at the pediatric population. And the next lesson, actually, it's related to my last lesson, which is avoid the rabbit hole and narrow down the research. And oftentimes when we're looking at a topic, we can get caught up in side issues that, though related to the top research topic, don't really pinpoint to the main to answer the question or the hypothesis that you're trying to address in your research. So yes, you need to make an effort to avoid the rabbit hole and not get too deep to the point where you can get out. Now, for the project timeline, this project is a narrative review, and it does not require IRB approval unless it's published. Data collection has actually begun. I already have like 10 studies that I have identified, but the rest of the data collection will begin in earnest in September 2023. And data collection will end in January of 2024, and I hope to have it analyzed by April of 2024. My first draft of the capstone report, I'm hoping to have it ready by May of 2024, and of course it's going to take some time to go through all the stuff and fine-tune it, so I'm hoping that by the latest is May 2024. Now, as for potential limitations, well, this is not a research project, it's a review. So limitations are, though, I think are those which are inherent to the selected studies. And I'm sure those will be listed in the study itself. A lot of times in the discussion portion of a study, they'll tell you, well, we found this, but we are limited by the sample number or by the time that we did this. So so we'll be able to identify those, and prior to including or excluding them, in the project. Another potential limitation that I see is my own personal bias in including or excluding studies. And this is what I, might take aside, whether I want to prove that, yes, these pre-discharge asthma education programs do help bring down the rate of readmission or no. So I have to be careful to make sure that I try to stay neutral and see what the evidence shows, so that I can give a useful narrative review. And that's it. Thank you for listening.